Divine and royal greetings, family. Shayola Benta here, along with Latoya Davis and Shantae Wilkerson. We are all coaches and practitioners and parts of the Emerald Green Collective. And we give thanks for you being here with us today for another session of Build Through Broadcast.
Woo,
So,
woo, woo,
woo,
woo.
right? So today's conversation was inspired by our very own Latoya Davis, Coach Latoya. So, Coach Latoya, can you tell us A, what we're going to be talking about today, and B, why you chose it?
Yes, so today we are discussing, we're going to be reading from The Circles of Wellness by Queen Afua, and we're going to be reading pages 78 through 80, and it is going to be on the cost of not knowing. And the cost of not knowing is just people falling into health issues or having health issues and not realizing the cost that it causes based upon
Mhm.
not actually being mindful of their health and wellness, and considering that maybe making more healthier choices can help combat that, which is very important. And then we'll go into, is it possible to do it in holistic ways, and also how we can merge with the allopathic way of healing and how that can be very
Mhm.
helpful and supportive. So I
Absolutely.
thought it would be a great way to, segue into just looking at it from that perspective, because some people are they question holistic health and wellness. So that's
Mm.
the reason why I chose it.
First of all, I love what you just said. People oftentimes, and probably more times than not, question holistic wellness. Now, I will say that if you are, way into your dis-ease, a holistic approach may not be what you need, if you're so far gone, but the hope is that we can catch um more people than not before it gets to that space. So, all right. Well, thank you for. I have the older version. This is what the older version looks like, but a version nonetheless. So, did you want to open us up with the cost of not knowing? And maybe as we move and we grow, I'll have the actual. We'll have the information on the screen, right, so that the viewers can see it as well. But for now,
Yes.
y'all could just listen in.
Yes, I can start us off. Um,
Mhm.
and it says the cost of not knowing. And on it, it's like you can see like it has the pricing of different conditions on there. It says lumpectomy is 10,000 to 20,000, removal of cysts. Mastectomy is 15,000 to 55,000, total removal of breast. Artery uterine fibroid immobilization.
Embolization.
Immobilization. 3,000, cutting the uterine artery. Partial hysterectomy, 8,000 to 10,000, partial removal of uterus. Myomectomy is fibroids, 5,000 to 7,000, removal of cysts. And myomectomy, fibroids, 5,000 to 7,000, removal of fibroids. And it says, see the price tags below, which is the image, for 6 surgical procedures regularly performed on women. Some patients argue that these expenses do not come out of their pockets because they have adequate insurance coverage. But what about the price the human body pays during and after a surgical procedure? Many medical doctors agree that the better the body is prepared prior to surgery, the more favorable the outcomes and more rapid and complete the recovery. Ultimately, prevention of surgery would be the most cost effective to both the pocketbook and the human body. With or without surgery, a patient may want to consider the benefits of preparing and repairing the body, mind, and spirit with holistic wellness tools and strategies. Remember, healthcare is self care. So, based upon what I just read, what do you all have to say about that?
I yield the mic to Shantae. Come on,
This
Coach Shantae. Tell us what you're thinking. Tell us what you're thinking.
So the number one thing that stands out to me, and I had to make sure I started before we got started so that I could come back to it. This one statement, many medical doctors agree. They are in unison, uniform thought. They come to a consensus. This is what they feel. They agree that the better the body is prepared prior to surgery, the more favorable the outcomes and more rapid and complete the recovery. That one line in and of itself is a sign to everybody. When your body is in a state of dis-ease and you take steps to get it healthier, it's easier for your body to recover because you don't have as many dead, damaged, dying cells in the body. So your body is able to bounce back and recover. Even people who need to do weight loss surgery, if you have the gastric sleeve and all those procedures, you actively have to go down the path of weight loss. You have to lose weight yourself. There are things that you have to do in preparation for that surgery in order for that surgery to be a success. And then after that surgery, there's even more stuff that you have to do to maintain, because now your body is in a different state and you need more nutrients, different nutrients, so on and so forth. With these particular conditions, the lumpectomy, the mastectomy, the artery uterine fibroid embolization, the partial hysterectomy, the myomectomy, all of these different things, they all have precursors. Precursors. And that is just so refreshing. It's good news, because if there is a precursor, if there's something that's happening before this disease progresses, that means that there is something that we can do before it gets to that point of needing surgery. But even if you get to the point of needing surgery, there's still something that you can do, because if you learn and accept the fact that you can heal yourself and reverse those diseases, and you put the effort in, you may not avoid the surgery altogether, but you will definitely be in a much healthier state regardless. And that's what you want to do. We don't want to lean so heavily on, the medical system and say, oh, well, I'll have this surgery, or, oh, I'll take this pill and I'll be okay, because you shorten your lifespan, you reduce your quality of life. And what is the point and purpose of living this life and being here if we're not going to be in optimum health? If you can't get up in the morning and go chase your grandchildren around the yard because your big toe arthritis has got you messed up and your back got you bent all over and you're hurting down in every organ that you have, you're alive, but can you truly enjoy life? And if you feel that bad, are you any joy to be around? There's a whole lot that goes into this wellness thing when we talk about holistic wellness, because we are whole individuals. Our emotions matter, our mindset matters, what we eat matters, medications and herbal supplements that we take matters. But if all the doctors that Queen has spoken with and that you have spoken with has say, well, if just lose about 5 to 10 pounds before we go into this surgery, this is what'll happen. If you just cut out red meat a little bit before this surgery, these are some of the things that can be beneficial. Now, if you exercise for 30 minutes a few times a week, that'll help get your diabetes, your blood sugar level and your diabetes under control. I know doctors are saying these things to people. Those are things that fall in the realm of the overlap right in here. This little section right here. This is allopathic medicine. This is holistic medicine. There are things in that overlap right in here that you can do to truly transform your life. And we have the ability to do those things. So I'm not going to take up the whole time, but I did want to make sure to point that out, because I've got aunts who have had mastectomies. I've had, different relatives that have had hysterectomies. I myself had to go a couple of years ago because I had a cyst on my left breast. And it wasn't the first time that cyst had come up. It was the second or third time that it had come up, and it was that large. But it would come up every now and then, and it seemed like it was cyclical. It was hormonal. And then the more I paid attention to myself and my own intakes, I realized that it was actually the foods that I was putting into my body that was causing me to create and develop these cysts. And
Mm-hmm.
that's something that I have control over. I decide what I eat. And because I noticed that early enough on so that the condition on a cellular level didn't deteriorate further, I was able to, I haven't completely eliminated it. I haven't completely eliminated, and I'll tell you why, and then I'm gonna stop talking. But I discovered that milk, specifically dairy, is a huge factor for cysts for me. I found this salad dressing. I fell in love with it. It was called Vegan Goddess. I checked the ingredients. I did all of my stuff. You know, Orisha Oshun says the front of the packaging is for entertainment and the back is for education. So I was entertained and I was educated and I was ready to go. Fell in love, and I went back to Whole Foods to get the salad dressing again. And I grabbed the Green Goddess dressing instead of the Vegan Goddess dressing. And I did not realize until I had been putting salads away for like a week and a half that the Green Goddess dressing has sour cream in it. It's got some other kind of yogurt or milk, something, whatever it was. But like the first 2 or 3 ingredients were milk items. And I was like, oh, that's what it was, because I felt in my left breast the cyst growing right on the side of my sternum again. And I was like, why are you there? And I realized not only that, it caused my allergies to flare up. It was a whole big production, all because I ingested a milk-based product for a week and a half and I didn't realize it. A week and a half.
Yeah.
Think about how much happens years and years of eating those things. It's crazy.
I mean, it definitely is, for a lack of better word, crazy, you know. And once we start to get involved with the education that's on the back of those labels, you know, the better off we would be. Now, I didn't have a lumpectomy, but I did have a breast reduction twice in my 20s, right? And that is something that I wish that I would have thought about before I did it. I mean, I thought it was the right decision at that time, but I remember the doctor saying, you know, lose 10 pounds before, you know, ... And they're right. Insurance company took care of it. But if I was just more mindful about what I was eating, I would have been okay. Now, I'm not a double D anymore, but I mean, the weight is what it is. Now, I did have a myomectomy, and that is the removal of fibroids. And that was something for me that was passed through the bloodline, in that, you know, on the spiritual sense, fibroids are unprocessed feelings. They are a blow to the feminine ego. There is a trauma of some sort that gets trapped in the womb, but perpetuated by the things that we eat. You know, so if it's well, I wouldn't say dairy because I wasn't doing dairy, but I was doing a lot of pasta and rice, and those things definitely caused, you know, blockage and buildup, which ideally caused thousands and thousands of dollars in doctor bills. So, I mean, and I've shared this before, so much so that I had to file bankruptcy because it was just like, this is a lot. And all, here again, because of what I was consuming. So, you know, the cost of not knowing is really real, because I had no idea. And then on top of having the breast reduction, that separation or that interruption in the relationship between the breast and the womb. Like I arbitrarily did that. And it's just like, you know, CC always says we don't know what we don't know. So back over to you, Coach Latoya.
Yes, thank y'all for sharing that. That was all of it. It was very insightful. And it's like, yes, I wholeheartedly understand and agree.
Mm,
And it's just a reminder, as you know, I didn't even, as I shifted into my wellness journey, I didn't realize how much money you save when you are more conscious of what you eat and how you live, you know, in a more healthier way, whatever that may look like for anyone. And even now I'm more mindful of just even this most simple things, even with, you know, as simple as with my daughter, making sure that I keep up her hygiene with her teeth, because that's a big age that when they're young is really big, you know, of being mindful of those
mhm,
cavities and all of that stuff. Like, because that could
mhm.
be expensive too, teeth issues, you know. So even with that, just being mindful of that, like, yes, it's important for health, but also you're saving a lot of, you know, unnecessary pain and you know, and costs. So yes, that's why
Definitely.
I'm glad that, you know, this is in here. It's like the cost of not knowing, but now you know, so you can make the
And if we
changes.
know better, do we do better?
Hmm.
You
Yes.
know, that part, you know, because our subconscious mind is programmed to a T, honey, you know, and we could fall into our autopilot mode if we're not tuned in to what's happening subconsciously. So, you know, and
Right.
that's a biggie for me. Like, don't eat that. But I really, you know, we had this conversation about seaweed chips. I love them, but I don't always need the salt or the protein.
Right.
You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a thing. It's a thing.
All right.
So,
So we can move on to the next page, which is 79. Is it possible? I can continue on reading, or if anybody wants to read, you can, but I can continue on. I guess I'll go ahead and do that. It's called Is It Possible?
mhm.
Allopathic, Bernadette Sheridan, medical doctor. Diabetes, obesity, depression, high blood pressure, hay fever. Is it possible that holistic methods can postpone or improve outcome? Is it possible? And then holistic, Queen of Fu, a holistic practitioner. People are afraid. Must they choose between allopathic and holistic? Can we unite to help families to heal and lead better lives? Is it possible? She has fibroids. It keeps coming back. This is the allopathic. She's asking for alternatives to medication and or surgery. Is there anything else I can offer her? Is it possible? And the holistic. Women don't believe they can heal with nature. Is it possible? Then the allopathic side. He has prostate challenges and is concerned about cancer and impotency. He's very concerned about having to have surgery and take medications for the rest of his life. Is it possible? Men rarely consider they can heal with nature. This is the holistic side. Is it possible? The allopathic. Will my colleagues in the medical community label me a quack for recommending herbs, clay, and food as medicine? Will I lose my credibility and my reputation that I've worked so hard to establish? Is it possible? Will the holistic community label me, that's the holistic side, will the holistic community label me as a traitor if I attempt to merge the holistic with the allopathic? Will I lose my credibility and my reputation in the holistic community? Is it possible? And I felt like that. Oh, here's, we have some more.
Mhm.
So the allopathic side, will my patients react negatively if I try to tell them how to help? Heal themselves with food and natural methods in addition to conventional methods? Is it possible? And the holistic aspect is, will I lose my clients and students if I recommend that they get the support of a medical doctor in addition to my holistic recommendation? Is it possible? And then they both say, over the 30 years of practicing medicine, can we work together? Yes, it is possible. Yes, we can unite. Yes, it is possible. Yes, it is possible because we are on a common path. We with a common goal, not versus side by side. That's a big one. We are on a common path with a common
Mhm.
goal, not versus side by side. Is
Mhm.
it possible? The performance piece modeled on the real life experience of Queen of Fool and Dr. Sheridan. It was performed by them in an evening of theater that heals, a program of vignettes, music, and dance. The program was presented on May 6, 2011 at the Producers Club Theater in Manhattan, New York City, to a gathering of scientists, artists, and healers. The focus of the evening was to create bridges between the medical community and the alternative practitioners and to gain support to create health and educational programs to better serve the needs of the community. Additionally, Dr. Josephine English, Dr. English was the first African American OBGYN in New York, iconic physician and role model, was honored with special tribute. Others in performance: Lady Prima, Mother Sage Sia, Marilyn Worrell, Jerrianne Scott, Joanna Figueroa, Empress Thandi, Kuji Lazama Banks, and Catriel Metaphysical Music Medicine Man. Event supporters included Saya Bandel, Director Professor Center of Women's DVMEC, Diana Farr Consulting, Dr. Bernadette Sheridan, MD/founder, Jerry Ann Scott, educator slash artist, and Marilyn Worrell, educator and artist, Leslie and Jason, wellness advocates. So, yes, I thought this was very powerful because, you know, that merging is always, it seems like there's always seems to be some kind of division, like, and I feel like it will be so much better if we can just merge together on a consistent basis, because I don't know how you all feel, but I know as I begin to become more holistic in my wellness, it was more of a challenge for me initially to go to like a regular doctor for everything. I wanted to be holistic in every aspect, and it's difficult to find those. And if you do find them, is sometimes you have to pay out of pocket, just, you know, because just how things are with insurance and stuff like that. So I feel like that would make things so much easier. And I feel like in a lot of ways, the pandemic kind of supported us in being more, as a collective, being more open to more holistic ways of doing and being. And I started hearing more holistic recommendations, you know, which I thought was very powerful and very insightful. And but now I'm one of those big people that I do go to, you know, a regular doctor, but I also use my holistic methods, and I also go to more holistic things too. And it's just, you know, choose what best works for me. But I find that it's very, when I go to the doctor, I get great feedback, and I don't even tell them the nitty gritty details of everything. I just say that I'm vegan. I don't go into detail about eating raw, all that, you know, right, because sometimes you may get pushback, especially with a small child, you know. But overall, outside of the big hump of the you should feed her meat in the beginning, everything's been great. So, what do you all feel about, you know, what was just read?
Well, I certainly love the side by side. You know, again, depending on where you are, you know, you may need allopathic, a completely holistic path just won't be enough. And that's just the reality of things. So, you know, it was amazing to see how both of them really had the same feeling. You know, if I suggest holistic, you know, will my patients feel like, you know, I'm doing something negative? And if I, you know, suggest allopathic, will my students and community feel like I'm a traitor? But if we can normalize, right? Because technology and going to the doctor, those things would be necessary in our human evolution if it wasn't so corrupt, if that makes sense. You know, people will feel, or, you know, I would say, especially as melanated folks, we've been all types of everything throughout a long history of using us for, you know, experiments, which that's a trauma. You know, some people don't want to go to, you know, a regular or westernized space because it's just like, okay, what are you going to do? Are you really here to help? You know, some of us don't have that concern at all. So I love the contrast, but at the end of the day, knowing both can be necessary, especially depending on where you are on your individual journey, for sure. So thank you for bringing us to pages 78 through 80 in
Absolutely.
Circles of Wellness. What say you, Shantae?
I definitely agree with what's been said. Uh, there is so much healing available when we can educate ourselves and we can have our own experiences and in our own handwriting take notes of what works, so that when we go into the allopathic spaces and we're talking with our doctors, we can say, this is an experience that I had, this is what I did, and this was the outcome. And that helps to build not only your relationship with your doctor, you build up the energy to advocate for yourself, and to show your doctor that these things are possible.
Right.
There are a lot of times, especially in my case, where I've had doctors, I've only had one doctor in the course of my son's life, and he'll be 11 this month, on the 31st, who gave me a holistic remedy for something. All of the other doctors were all about prescription, what they can get you from a pharmacy, and even down to the seemingly simplest thing now, they were willing to write prescriptions for. Now, as a holistic practitioner, with the knowledge that I have and my willingness to research, I've learned so much. And going back over different situations and scenarios, I'm like, my son didn't even need that medication. All I needed to do was give him this, and this, and he would have been fine. But I didn't know. And in that season of me not knowing and being around other people who were also, I had his different people in his life who, had some dentist friends and other medical professionals, and they're all, the doctor said do this, so that's what you need to do. And there was no, well, what have you found? What did you research? Oh, really? You might want to bring that to your doctor and have the conversation with them. But now I'm definitely an advocate for taking that information to your doctor if you have questions. And if your doctor can't give you a concrete answer on something, maybe do your own research before you just go along with what they say. Because there is, like, one line in Dr. Bernadette's said, will my colleagues in the medical community label me a quack for recommending herbs, clay, and food as medicine? Will I lose my credibility and my reputation that I've worked so hard to establish? That is a very real concern for a lot of medical practitioners, especially as we are moving through the big C-19 situation. There have been a lot of doctors who have wanted to talk about holistic health measures, how you can boost and build up your immune system and different things like that. But there is so much fear about how much work that they have done to get to wherever they are in their careers. And this fear that, if I do this, if I talk about these things, will I be penalized? Will I jeopardize what I've built thus far? And that's a really real concern. So if you're in a space with an allopathic physician and they are willing to talk to you about holistic measures and they talk to you about different things and they take their time with you, take a moment to just say thank you to that doctor for being willing to even have that conversation and to be willing to take that risk. Because the one doctor that did give me one remedy, all he said was, instead of giving your son Robitussin and all these other kind of things, you can make him a hot toddy, and before bed, you rub him with some Vicks and put his pajamas on him, and it's okay for him to sweat. That's our body's natural mechanism for healing, and so on and so forth. He had a parent that called and complained because she said that he was trying to tell her to give her child alcohol. She completely missed the entire point of everything that the doctor was telling her because she got hung up on one aspect of what he was saying and completely disregarded everything else, and could have that man's career because of her ignorance, not his.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a doctor willing to do that, thank them.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly, I had, and thank you, Dr. Kirish, because he is no longer practicing, but he was that cross between holistic and allopathic. And what I loved about him was he always wanted to discuss the root of what was going on rather than just the symptoms. And right next door to his practice was a compounding pharmacy. So they made your medicine or created what was needed oftentimes, as soon as the prescription is sent over. So you're right, either way it goes, just being thankful to those who are, in that space. And I think it's becoming more accepted. In the past, I would say maybe 4 or 5 years, we heard about a lot of doctors mysteriously dying, or missing because they were sharing, so it, like you say, it really is real. And it could be risky, but at the end of the day, it's just like, were we doing this 2, 3, 400,000 years ago? Now, there's always been some element, but where we are now today, with the whole free will, I'm gonna do whatever I want and live however I want, but I'll just take this pill. It might damage, 4 other organs, but it's taken care of, a thing. So
that's a whole separate build through broadcast.
Yes. So we have topics for days. So yes, we do. So as you can see at the bottom, our ticker, we are working to, expand and organize and even have theme music and all that jazz. But we've decided we're just going to start. So we thank you for the constant support. If you would like to schedule a wellness consultation, we do 30 minutes and 60 minutes. Feel free this is just temporary, but feel free to email us at TEG collective@gmail.com, and you want to leave your name and your number and who you would like to have your consultation with. And we'll use this method until the next step comes along. So before we close out, any closing words from anyone?
Now y'all know I can talk. Now I be trying to keep it brief, stay off the mic a little bit, but this is something that I truly, absolutely am passionate about, and I love, because there are so many diseases that are prevalent in the African communities, and a lot of these things can be prevented, especially if you start in your younger years. If you're not healthy but you have children, go ahead and make that shift, make that transition, because you may struggle with it because of what you've experienced, but they won't struggle as much if you stay committed. Now, when you get behind closed doors, like, oh Lord, I want me a piece of fried chicken. You know, I used to get it with a hot sauce on and put it on the white bread. You can do that behind closed doors. But your children are only going to remember what you show them. So if you show them that it is possible to transition from the standard American diet to a holistic diet that includes lots of fruit, lots of vegetables, lots of plant-based proteins, it is possible and it is doable. That means that you can set your grandchildren up for health and wellness in just making those changes for yourself for the next generation. It is doable. Any one of us coaches can walk you through that process. We can each tell you about our own transitions, how we made our switches to different things, the things that we struggled with making the transition, the things that were easiest. These are all options of conversations that you can have. So if there is a health condition that you have been struggling with or challenged with, you see somebody in your family struggling with something specific and you want to get additional information, feel free to schedule that consultation for yourself or talk to them and gift them the consultation and just spread health and wellness throughout your family. You would probably be pleasantly surprised and amazed at how receptive some of your relatives would be to just the opportunity to see something different and hear something different about how they can transition, because nobody that is unhealthy feels good all the time. So give them an opportunity to feel good and feel better. Give yourself an opportunity to feel good and feel better. And just take that step. Send the email, tegcollective@gmail.com, any phone number, which coach you would like to schedule with. And if you want to include some questions, put some questions on in that email, child, do your thing. Okay. We are just looking forward to having the opportunity to meet with you guys, spread this healing message,
Or ladies.
and ladies, ladies and gentlemen, we want all of y'all come on in the room, because the more people we help, the more people can help other people. Because the more you learn, you don't share. You been sitting there like me, just talking. Let me tell you about this.
Yeah, we don't want to, we don't want to overcook the grits, right? As we say in our wealth building world. But also remember that children do what you do, not what you say. So, we just have to make the shift. You just got to do it. You just got to do it. You just got to do it.
Y'all said it.
You just have to.
Yeah.
So we thank you again. And we will be back next week, Friday at 12:30 with another topic. And if there's anything that you would like us to discuss, you can drop that in that email box too. So until the next time, take care of yourself and each other. And remember, love and let love, no judgment. Peace.
Peace, y'all.
Or wholeness.
Oh, yeah.